Hey, what do you do if you're Conor McGregor? What happens now? He's got a couple of great options, but we know full well he doesn't want to cut to 145. We know what a struggle that is. If you're Conor, your pay is probably not going to go up. Look, Eddie, very compelling fight. Jose, they're going to do great numbers. So either way, it's a title fight. You've already beat Jose, so you're doing him a favor by going back down. You're not really doing yourself one. If you're Conor and you're a big guy and you're growing a little bit because you're doing this 170 thing, is there any reason to go back to 145? Why don't you just go to 155 and say, great, I'm right back in the main event. I'm right back for a world title fight. I'm right back in a big payday. If I put myself in Conor's shoes, I go to 155. Is that the move?
Yeah, I say you fight Eddie Alvarez on Madison Square Garden. Why not?
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's what it'll do.
Yeah.
And Al, you want the politics behind it favor that as well, because he would be getting some pressures from the UFC to go back to 45, because what in the hell else do you do with Jose Aldo? There's just no one there right now to put against Jose, so you're kind of stuck where you go, Conor, it's more helpful if you go back to 45, but that's changed now that Anthony Pettis has dropped down and had some success. Now you can do a Pettis-Aldo fight. That's going to draw former champion against the current champion, and that leaves, I think, a little bit less outside pressure on Conor and allows him to go to 55. I think Conor's going to fight Eddie Alvarez next. That's what I think.
I think you, Chael, should be the next matchmaker for the UFC.
I tell you, it's a lot about, I like to pretend to be matchmaker more than I do it, but I just know that, there is always, it's the one thing that no one ever considers is the behind-the-scenes politics. And with Jose kind of just sitting there, he's already done the Frankie fight. Boom, he did the Frankie fight again. Kenny Florian's retired. There's not a ton to do. So maybe you kind of push Conor in that direction. All of a sudden, with Pettis there, I don't think you push him as much. And I think that leaves you with Eddie.
I'm with you, man. And, that'd be the headliner probably for the Madison Square Garden card, which would be big. And that's what I know they're trying to do. Yeah.
You ever get any time in? Go ahead. Finish your Pettis thought.
Anthony Pettis versus Jose Aldo would be a crazy fight. That would be awesome.
Oh, absolutely. And I got to think that's coming up. It cuts Max Holloway out a little bit, but in fairness, again, when you're talking politics, Max, as great as he is, and Max is a great fighter, he's not quite big enough. That's not going to headline a card. It's just not.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so Eddie Alvarez, have you ever got any sparring in with him? Have you ever been in the gym with Eddie?
No, I haven't. But I'll tell you what. He owes me a point, that motherfucker.
What? Tell me why.
So I fought his teammate, Will Martinez, at the Ring of Combat.
Okay.
And he was trying to take me down in his own corner. Eddie was in his corner. And I was posting my hand on the cage. And there was no problem with it because you're allowed to post your hand on the cage. You're just not allowed to grab the cage. But then Eddie Alvarez stood up. And Eddie Alvarez screamed, he's grabbing the cage, he's grabbing the cage. So the ref didn't take a point away. The ref let it go. And then in between rounds, one of the athletic commissioners, he took the point away because Eddie Alvarez was yelling, he's grabbing the cage, he's grabbing the cage. So he cost me a point, and now I won the fight, but because of the point, I have a draw. So now I have a 1 all the way at the end of my record. Because of that guy. So I'm not a big fan of his.
That's some power. That's some power by Eddie. I don't know if you can do that's interesting. I didn't know you could do that. I thought the referee had to make the call. Even if he gets it wrong, it's up to the referee.
That's what I thought too. But in the middle of the round, the ref came up to me after going over to the table, and he said, "We're taking away a point." And I was like, at the time, it happened so fast. I was like, oh, whatever, fuck, I got to finish this guy now. And, I went out there and I won the fight 2-1, 29-28. And because of the point, it was 28-28. Tried to appeal it, but no good. And, it is what it is.
Eddie owes you a point. The bottom line is Eddie owes you a point.
He owes me a point.